Sierra Leone is a West African country that suffered through a 10-year civil war, which crippled the economy, destroyed infrastructure, and caused immense human suffering. Today, Sierra Leone is one of the poorest countries in the world, with a population of 7.1 million. Over 60% of the population live below the poverty line of approximately $1.50 per day, and life expectancy for adults is 51 years of age. During the Civil War, over 1/3 of the population was displaced. Production of staple crops, including rice, dropped by 70%, and 90% of all livestock were killed or taken to neighboring countries. The country has one of the highest infant mortality rates and the highest maternal mortality rate in the world. Freetown, the capital and largest city, expanded in population as a result of the Civil War. Informal economic activities, unplanned housing development, and urban agriculture dominate the Freetown urban landscape. Today, with just over 1 million inhabitants, it is the most populous city in the country. Post-conflict recovery has been slow, with crises such as the Ebola outbreak and natural disasters complicating and delaying development efforts. The highest levels of poverty in Sierra Leone belong to farming families. However, agriculture is responsible for almost half of Sierra Leone's GDP, and agriculture employs about 2/3 of the population. In our study of rural rice farming in the Canberra district, our key objectives were to conduct a scoping study to determine the technology and training needs of rural rice farmers to reduce post-harvest losses and improve rice quality for market production. We conducted a participatory rural appraisal combined with participatory video to prioritize marginalized groups and provide a voice on how farmers think about ways to strengthen the rural economy and improve rural livelihoods. This film will feature voices from the rice farmers themselves, where they acted as filmmakers to document their own stories. Using a variety of other participatory methods, farmers organized themselves into groups of adults, male and female, and youths, boys and girls. Engaging youth in training and employment is widely viewed as a strategy to prevent youth violence. Each group created lists of needs to improve rice farming and reduce post-harvest losses. From these lists, each group then prioritized their needs. We wanted to identify opportunities, challenges, and training needs of women and youth in agriculture. Farmers also created community maps, seasonal calendars, and the video content. Our scoping study was located in the farming communities of Banco Maria and Magbeta. Banco Maria is a lowland mangrove ecology, and Magbeta is an upland inland valley swamp ecology. Each farming community is organized into farming associations. Banco Maria, a large village of roughly 10,500 people, has 4 farmers' associations, of which 3 contributed to this study: Sober, Fambo, and Tamarana. Farmers in the upland village of Magbeta, a community of roughly 7,500 people, form the Islamic Farmers Association. With the PRA videos, farmers created their own footage that emphasized many of the needs and challenges that they had identified during the morning group activities. In the following footage, farmers explain their workday and prioritize harvest and post-harvest needs, such as boats for transporting rice straw, threshers and mills, and rice storage sheds.
Min farmer. Am problema e mas soto ka ko buloi. Mai yam fumasu. Antaka son kala a interest. Antaka su nyo lol. Mo am box son su 100,000. Mo pla potila. O 270 mo. Sam farmer. So fa ko se ba do me pata pla se ba tapolin. Se ba tapolin. By machine is sufficient, marane so kako buloi. So by a dry floor, a black waste. A black waste don't kako bulo. A bile a back saplan, a black sabodomo. So by a dry floor, so by a regame at my theatre marane so got a plan. Bye. And after that, we go to the Katsa bong, sabay mo siya for siya ngalo may man feed do mat. Sabay bile. Alo may man feed do mat. Epa. It's a imagine kulwe sa fama bla bati ilom nang katsa puti ko to ni. Odi rapat akbale pusti. Kuya mabwes apla. Imagine kulwe.
My name is Asante Kamara. Soya na decide for mass rest, una tres. Because we not get tapulin and walk out the rest now. We get lot of big stone. Yes, we get beaucoup stone there because we not get tapulin. And look the river side and the boats them spoil. I make we get too much damage than the river side. So then they load the rest kind down at the river because boats not fine. Boats the way they use, they not fine. So then they dine at the river, some rest, then they dine then they left in the river. I make we know they get high production. And this constraint here will undergo now. So look the farm there, look the river, you will not get good boats. And the river back, not good. And the crossing side for go to the other side of the lake, not good. You not get bridge. And this local brick normal wouldn't use sticks, and then put for let people then cross. And too much of damage, people then they for don't they. So then they die there, and the woman they all they go the rest at the farm. The rest they for done day, and so then they for done day then die there back. And this problem that we get this year.
My name is Henry M.S. Kagu. I work for the Sierra Leone Agricultural Research Institute. We are the people who take the technologies developed here to the farmers through demonstrations, field shows, and production of leaflets and other agricultural shows that occur in the country. We participate in them, take these demonstrations, we demonstrate on station and on sites, on farmer sites, just to promote the technologies that are developed here, like rice varieties, agronomic practices, for instance, the control of iron toxicity, and other agronomic practices. These are the things that we promote to the farmers and get their response about these technologies, and then bring in feedback to the scientists on their respective technologies to see where they can improve or where they can collaborate with other scientists within the center to improve those technologies. So this is what you basically do. Before the war, it was going far better than it is doing now, because we used to have funds in which we establish our demonstrations of all technologies on site. We bring farmers to observe those technologies and then ask them to select and to see what is good, what is not good, what is good for them, the reasons, and then we'll do this through interviews and other means of collecting data. But now, as you can see on the station, there is no work going on in the sites. Funds are not there, are lacking. The government is just managing to pay our salaries. Even vehicles that are given to us, we cannot run them and we cannot maintain them because the government only provides merely salaries. If the rice we eat is being imported, as it is now, everybody is suffering. Homes are suffering. Some homes cannot even afford to get an adequate rice meal per day. So funding is very crucial for the production of rice here. Funding is very crucial for the continuation, for the advancement of research.
The manual nature of rice farming is dependent on hiring casual labor. This places additional burdens on female farmers who hire male laborers for the physically demanding tasks of rice harvesting and transporting the rice straw from the fields to the threshing areas. Female farmers also perform additional roles, as they must prepare food and bring it out to the laborers, collect firewood and water, look after the children and elderly, as well as carry out post-harvest tasks such as drying, winnowing, and parboiling of rice. In order to pay for casual labor, farmers draw loans from local families in the village, and these families typically have family members and other connections in Freetown who act as the lenders. The loan situation, as described by the farmers, is complex, entrapping them in a cycle of debt and poverty. There are no microfinancing options available, although the government had attempted to establish hundreds of agricultural business centers, or ABCs, in each farming community. These have not made the expected impact of servicing smallholders. The ABCs tend to be located at large commercial farms that are far removed from the smallholder villages, causing problems of both access and availability. There are also concerns that the ABCs are not providing appropriate fertilizers, specifically NPK, nitrogen, phosphate, potassium. Before the Civil War, NPK was available and it was seen as effective. It is believed that the commercial farmers are withholding the NPK while distributing only PK, phosphate potassium, to the smallholders. Rice farmers are keenly aware of the constraints they face in producing rice for the local market. They understand the importance of limiting post-harvest losses, lowering the cost of production, while increasing production of market-quality rice are critical to strengthening rice farming in the district, and as a secure livelihood strategy. Despite these constraints, farmers see opportunity in rice cultivation, provided they have access to farm machinery and inputs to lower costs of production and post-harvest activities. These costs remain high, largely as a result of labor time in harvest and post-harvest periods, and contribute to chronic debt burdens, particularly for female farmers. The government of Sierra Leone has emphasized the importance of engaging smallholders in rural development policy planning, as well as attracting foreign investment for improving the rural sector. From our participatory research, smallholders encourage the government to follow through with promises of a grassroots or bottom-up approach to improving the rural farming sector. This approach would focus on capacity building needs as identified by the farmers. These needs include in strengthening their role in the supply chain through upgrading transport infrastructure and post-harvest facilities, such as storage in farming communities, as well as improve access to financial resources that could mitigate the dependency on predatory moneylenders. These needs could be met through addressing infrastructure issues connected to the safe and efficient transport of rice to domestic markets. Participants in our research also emphasized needed improvements in agriculture extension services through research and development of farming machinery that is fit for purpose to reduce burdens of labor time and costs, particularly for female smallholders.
The country cannot go forward in terms of food production, in terms of the production of our staple crop, our staple food, rice, would largely depend on imports, which requires dollar, which is a very scarce thing for the government. Government is handicapped. If you don't eat rice for the day, you can't say you have eaten, no matter what you eat.